Hi, everybody, and welcome to the sixth grade C-Pod virtual open house. Mr. D'Alessandro and I would both like to introduce you and welcome you to the C-Pod. We're very excited that we're our own little unit over here. One of the things that we think makes it work so well is we have about 40 years of experience teaching, and collectively we've spent 10 years of those as co-teachers in the same group. So as you'll get to know us throughout the year, you'll see he's like the little brother I never thought I wanted, but it works because we have the same outlook and the same direction in our education, and it's children-centered, and we want to make education fun and hold some standards high. We also want to let you know this is not the way that we were hoping to start, as I'm sure anybody in the country was, but we are excited to try new things and make the best of it. We're learning, the kids are learning, we're making mistakes, and your wonderful children are so happy to point those mistakes out for us. I am the reading and social studies teacher. I've been teaching for over 20 years, as I said earlier, and I'm going to introduce you to Mr. D'Alessandro, who is the math and science teacher.
Thanks, Ms. Scully. I'm glad to meet everybody here as we sit here virtually. And like Ms. Scully said, it is unfortunate that we are in a situation, but it's what we're dealt, and we'll make the best of it. I didn't realize I was so influential on Ms. Scully, and I was the little brother that she never wished she had. We do have a great relationship together, and it does work, and we rely on each other for a lot of help, and she's been great providing help, especially as we go through this process. She's been very helpful explaining a lot of this Schoology stuff. So as we proceed virtually, it is going to be a learning process, and we'll continue to get better at it. And we hope that you understand that we're working our hardest and doing the best that we can for your son or daughter. I am the math and science teacher. And so as Ms. Scully turns this page, we'll see some of the expectations that we'll have for your students, and things that you can be doing at home with them. Okay. So I know that this process is very difficult for your students. I know with my own children at home, we've talked to them about they have more responsibility this year than they probably did in the past, just because they are responsible for so much of their learning and preparation that we can't provide here because they're not in school. And so we continue to ask that they take that responsibility and keep working hard. So on this page, here are some helpful reminders. We know that not all of them are possible all the time, and then we just ask that you students follow as much as they can and provide as much as they can. That'd be great. A quick review: it's important to have your child log on time. You know, when each class begins, it would be great that they are available in class. Also, if they could have their materials ready as class begins, so they don't have to leave and go find what they need. And if they could have a quiet workspace, that would be helpful. After you log on, we'd have the same expectations as if they are in school with us, right? We ask that they be respectful, that they participate in class, that they stay on task. And finally, please communicate with us. You know, we don't know if you're having trouble at home. So if they would email us, or as you'll see later, there's a Remind app that is a good way to communicate. But if you have any questions, please communicate with us and let us know, or have your child communicate with us. So here's Ms. Scully with some helpful tips for parents on the next page.
Okay, and a lot of you have already done this, and we understand with multiple children in just different environments, it might be hard, but try to designate a learning space as much as possible. Create a schedule, limit distractions, check in with your child, and don't be afraid to go onto your parent portal and check their attendance. That's a good way to check to see to make sure they're showing up to their classes. If we're noticing problem will reach out to you, but every once in a while they might miss a class or here or there. Like Mr. D'Alessandro said, communicate with us, emails, the Remind app. We know that there was some problems getting in. Mr. D'Alessandro is an expert at that. So if you want to reach out to him, if you tried to join the Remind app, sheet was in the book bag that you picked up from school. I'm also going to email your students it. And then the important things as the adults dealing with all of this is don't forget to take care of yourself, little self-care, exercise, take time for yourself. So you're able to care for all that you have to do. Here's the daily schedule, Mr. D'Alessandro.
All right, here's our daily schedule. And the kids have done really well with this. I've been very proud of our attendance so far. I know those 8 o'clock first bells of the day are difficult to get up for and ready for sometimes. But overall, I've really thought our attendance has been very good. A reminder, they do have 5 periods a day. So they have us for the 4 main classes, but they do have a related arts period, 4th period that they are expected to participate and attend as well. Each class is an hour and 15 minutes. The first hour is called synchronous, but it's with us teachers teaching, so that's where they'll have their main assignments and review and instruction going on. And then the last 15 minutes will be used for makeup work or completing assignment, or that's where students would do quote unquote homework. Or if they just need a break, that's what we'll give them, the 15-minute break before they head on to the next class. As you see, lunch is 11:45 to 12:15 each day. There is an opportunity for you to still pick up lunches from the school. If you're not aware of that, you could check out the Erie Public Schools website for instructions on pickup days and pickup times. All right, so here's Ms. Scully with some directions for students that might not be present in school.
Okay, and before we get to that too, we'll be sending out Zooms for our special help sessions starting next week. We haven't really had, most of the focus we've been doing is teaching the technology, so we haven't gotten too deep into the content. I think this week, I know we're kind of getting into that a little bit more. The kids are really picking up on how to use the technology and are great helpers to us as well. So again, send out Zooms on Tuesday. I'm having my special help, and Mr. D'Alessandro, yours is?
Mondays.
Monday. So they'll get a Zoom. Anybody that wants to jump in, especially if they're still having trouble submitting stuff. We're not concerned so much this first quarter about grades. We're still playing with how the grade book actually works and how it aligns to Schoology. So if there's any concerns with your child, we'll reach out to you. We think everyone's going to do well this first quarter, especially now we're just getting more into the content as we've taught more of the technology. Now, we understand that absences happen and that appointments sometimes have to happen during the school day. We're asking that you still submit excuses, and this is the person that you are submitting the excuses to, our secretary, our wonderful secretary, Miss Whalen. So it's mwhalen@eriesd.org. You can always shoot me an email if you need that address. I think it should be on the school website as well. When you're submitting electronic emails, please include your student's first and last name and then their homeroom number. That's really helpful when Miss Whalen goes in to adjust attendance. There's over 800 kids enrolled in the school, so it's helpful when she knows first and last name and the homeroom is listed. Okay, we're gonna go on to the next slide. Mr. D'Alessandro is gonna talk about class materials, and then we'll talk a little bit about what we're teaching and what our class expectations are.
All right, thanks, Ms. Scully. Yes, there are some materials that the students should have with them every day at home. Obviously, their computer, their Chromebook is necessary. And then each day they're going to need each of their subject materials. So math, science, language arts, and social studies, whatever that is, their book, their notebook. In addition, a highlighter somewhat available would be great, and some writing utensils, obviously, pencils or pens. sorry, I'm reading. Each period, they should have that handy, and they do have that 15-minute break. So if it's off to the side, they can go and pick that up and get that ready for the next class. And here's Ms. Scully with our next slide.
Well, I'm going to interject right here and just let you know, I do teach ELA and social studies, and in ELA, most of the content is focusing around 3 areas: key ideas and details, structure, and vocabulary in fiction and nonfiction passages. We've got a brand new literature series, which I'm very excited about. It's been a long time. So your children have wonderful, beautiful books at home that they can write in and work in and annotate in. This is very, very exciting. Social studies, we are studying ancient civilization and how the 5 themes of geography revolve around that. So it should be an exciting year. Mr. D'Alessandro, do you want to address what you're teaching in math and science?
Yep, absolutely. In science is definitely going to be a challenge. Part of the fun about science is the hands-on activities and the labs and the experiments. And obviously being remote, it's going to be a challenge to do that. So we'll make the best of it and we'll do what we can, but the content that we're going to start the year off with is the scientific method, which is the base of all science and all research that we do. And then we go into 3 kits this year. The first kit is energy conservation and how we use energy and where energy comes from. Then we move into the sun, earth, moon, and how those systems work together. And then our last kit, which hopefully we'll be back in school for after the new year, is a chemistry kit, which is a lot of fun. Same with reading and math. We have gotten the new math series. You should have seen this, and both books are sent home. There are 2 student workbooks, and there are 6 areas of math that we're going to work through throughout the year. A lot of our 6th grade math is kind of just a continuation of 5th grade math with basic skills before they get into specific mathematics courses. So it's ratios, and then the number system, which is adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing numbers, equations and expressions, which is an introduction to algebra in 7th grade. And then we do geometry and statistics and probability. So really appreciate your time. On the next few slides is some information from oh, nope, not yet.
Talking points. So now that we're in a month in, and as Mr. D'Alessandro said, we are very pleased with CPOD attendance. As we're moving into the 2nd month, we are hoping to have a little bit more student participation. So this is something you can talk to your student about. It's easier to conduct class when we see your student's face on screen. We understand that there are situations where maybe that's not always best. When it's not possible, regardless of whether their screen is off or on, we do need them to be ready to answer questions during class instruction. So a few times it's happened where we'll call on somebody and their screen is black and there's no response. Again, we understand that stuff happens, but we are trying to create an authentic classroom experience for the children. So again, just because they're in a black screen, we're still going to call on them and we're still going to expect that participation. We also do breakout rooms, and we can jump into the breakout rooms. We're trying to give them as much opportunity to interact socially. So again, if you have discussions with them, encourage them to participate in those breakout rooms, where we usually give a topic and they go off. It's just a couple minutes and then we're bouncing in and out. Again, trying this new technology, trying to work it out to make it beneficial for us to create a wonderful class culture. And we understand that things happen, but it's really crucial for students to be on time. When students are consistently arriving to the Zooms late, it does disrupt the learning for everyone and poses a challenge for accurate attendance taking. We are doing our best. It's funny, we're in a digital world, but we're still taking notes. We're writing things down on the computer. We're trying not to mark anybody absent, but things happen. A lot of times we have kids going in and out of the Zoom. We can hear a little ding dong bell when we know that. And again, we know that kids are navigating what's going on at home versus here, but during that Zoom time, it's really, really critical for them to be on as much as possible. So we appreciate your support with that. And if there's any issues, again, just reach out to us. And a couple times kids have sent me an email, I'm sorry this happened. That's great, that helps us, because sometimes you're asking a blank screen and it looks like they're just purposely not answering a question, which is frustrating. Again, we're trying to create the authentic classroom culture. All righty. Here's some contact information Mr. D'Alessandro will go over.
All right, yep. The email is the best way for us to communicate at this time. Obviously, we don't have much time during the day to receive phone calls. So here's our 2 email addresses, and that can be for anything, questions, concerns. All right. Also, if you do need to contact the school, if you're missing some information or some resources that you need, so here is the school contact information. We also do have that Remind app on your phones. So if you've never done a Remind app, you'll have to download that app. It's just called the Remind app. And then Ms. Scully sent a piece of paper home in the book bags earlier in the year. Also, there will be an email being sent to your student's email address that does give instructions. Sometimes there is a little bit of trouble, so email me directly if you have a question about that.
And a couple parents have already reached out to me, and I did respond or reached out to Remind, and we're still waiting. So if you want to contact Mr. D'Alessandro, and he can actually talk you through the process. So thank you for those of you that tried to join and were unsuccessful. Please try again, and we want to get, it's the easiest way. Sometimes you can just shoot a text, and when we went into quarantine last year, it was a really great tool to use with parents.
Yeah.
Here is a translation letter from Ms. Dobbins-Beck. She is our English language learner teacher. And I'm going to email this PowerPoint to the kids as well, so you'll have this. If you are in need of translation services that you want to email, sdobbinsbeck@eriesd.org. And she's got a variety of languages represented. So if you need service things to be translated, she is the person to contact. And again, you can reach out to us and I can email this to you as well. And we kind of skipped over the beginning. So we wanted to show you how proud we are of our Bitmojis, because we are not Bitmoji people. So we were very proud that we were able to use the technology and create what we look like in the virtual world. And just so your kids can put a face to the voices that they're hearing, here's a picture of us socially distancing, and then you can see what I have to deal with on a daily basis, having fun with Mr. D'Alessandro. We want to thank you for entrusting your children to us and for being patient with us and being part of the CPOD team.
Thank you very much. We look forward to meeting you guys in person at some point.
Have a good night.